Hello, it's another video from Ivan. Ivan does stuff. I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to do this video now or do it at a later date, but I'm here. I'm waiting for something to do on my computer, so I thought, sod it, I'll do it now. So, the other day I posted a video of the stuff in my box of tricks, games, consoles, etc. Now, I got a lot of stuff in there, but I've actually got a whole load of stuff on a shelf, and actually that stuff's a little bit more interesting. And I realised I didn't cover a few bits, so this is only a little video, so apologies if you bored of me already, but then if you're bored of me already, why are you watching it? So, your fault. So I'm just going to go through a few extra bits. I was going to post as my second video some bike stuff, which I've kind of done a video, but it's not particularly great. Not that my last video was good. It was pointed out to me, things were mirrored. They're going to be mirrored on this one as well, but I can't really be bothered to sort it out right now. So bear with me, it'll get better. As I say, when I'm going to get the whole film crew in here, I'm probably going to get some, I might get someone nice to play me. Not sure who yet, but somebody. So I'm working on that. It's all good. So, stuff I've got on my shelf. Now, I did talk a lot the other day about DS's and DS Lites. I suppose I want to cover a couple of bits really. One is, if you're going to buy a DS, this is the bad boy to get. DS Lite. This is actually one that I was really quite pleased with getting. It's a Yoshi Green DS Lite. They don't have the camera. They're pretty small. The screens are quite small. The touchscreen. They do run natively the old GBA stuff and also the Game Boy stuff, so that's really good. You don't need to mess around with conversion cards, and obviously they run all the DS games. Honestly, I don't know how much these are now. They were banging around really cheap. You can pick them up at car boot sales. I mean, this is in really, I wouldn't say quite brand new condition, but in very good condition. And you can pick up battered ones for a few pound. I've picked up stuff for £5, £10. You can definitely get one for a £10. So, a bit like the Game Boy SP, which is really good in some ways. This is better because you get all the DS stuff as well as all the Game Boy stuff. I mean, it's almost like a built-in everything Game Boy-y in one go. So there's that I found on my shelf, and that's a Yoshi one. I do collect anything that's Mario Edition. In general, Mario Edition stuff is worth quite a bit, or worth a bit more. It's a bit like the common as muck, but it's quite nice to have the Mario one. I think the only thing that this has got on it is the M. This one has got one of my R4 cards in, so again, it's mirrored, ignore me, but you kind of get the idea of what it looks like. R4 cards you can still buy. There's a place in Guernsey, I think it's based, that you can pick up, and they're not a lot of money. The only thing about R4 cards is, and I've got loads of them, pick a card, any R4 card. Oh, there we go. It's basically a DS shell card, and they have a little SD slot, so you put an SD card in. Now, they are a bit tricky to configure. Every single card is slightly different. They bring out new versions almost monthly, and you have to have the right software to go on it. If you don't get the right software, they won't work. Once you kind of get your head around how it works, and you go on the website and download the software, it's dead easy. You just dump ROMs on. I think they support up to 32 gig, which even with DS games is quite a bit. You start talking Game Boy games and stuff like that, it's like all of them. So again, these are dirt cheap. People think you can't get hold of them. Nah, you can get hold of them easy enough. So that's them. I found the super card, hurrah! And I thought it was worth showing you. So that's obviously an R4 card from a DS super card. Now this thing here is worth quite a bit of money because they're getting rarer and rarer to find. I bought my new, runs a SD card, run the micro, and I think they only support up to 2 gig. Doesn't sound a lot, but when you're talking Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy, it's loads of stuff. Bit of an oddity with them is that the memory chips in this are actually something like 7/8 the speed. I don't know why I remember it being 7/8, but it's 7/8 the speed of a standard Game Boy Advance cartridge. What that means is some of the bigger ones, there's a standard Game Boy Advance cartridge, if you know what I'm talking about, blah, blah, blah. So these have got memory in. You know, they're basically a standard cartridge that memory stores the game. What it means is some of the games that require a bit more power, it is noticeable there is a little bit of a lag. To offset that slightly, I got the fastest SD card I could find, and this is a SanDisk Ultra 2. 95% of the games you don't notice. There is one or two where you do. And so it's worth bearing that in mind. It's a bit of a weird thing. I don't know why it's 7/8, but it is. That's just what it is. You don't really ever see these come up on eBay. As I say, I bought this new in 2000 and must have been about 2007, 2008, I think it was, and it was about 30 quid. I think now you can still get them, but they're closer to 80, and it's just almost not worth buying them. However, they're quite cool. Me showing you stuff that's not even on camera, so quite cool. They fit in the bottom, you know, and you can fit loads of games on. The other thing you can do is if you've got a case with some storage, you can just swap the SD cards out, so you can fit loads of stuff on. Again, on the other video, I was talking about this, which comes from a proper Game Boy Advanced SP pack. It includes the joystick, which I showed before, but it also includes this, which is a magnifier, which is pretty cool. Reminds me of the old Game Gear Magna Gear. So like that, and you know, it's pretty useful. The bit that I like, only because I think it's really quite swish how they did it, swish, one of my strange words again, is this. This fits into the back of the controls on the back, if I get it the right way around, and it clicks in like that, quite hard, and it's so hard that falls off. Ta-da. But what it's got is, you pull these out, and it's got some little speakers. So what you end up with is a control unit that it has a joystick, it has a bigger screen, and it has much better sound. Now, it looks bloody ridiculous. It looks like a dog's dinner. However, if you're travelling, if you've got enough space to carry it with you, do you know what? It does make it a better machine to play. And I think I certainly took the joypad bit on holiday with me when I went to Australia. The other bits, it's kind of, you need to have packed a big suitcase to bother taking it. But the sound is pretty good, and it's a good use of the extension ports. Talking of which, something I didn't mention, both this and the original Game Boy Advanced have got these ports on the back, which means you can plug them into a GameCube, which I'll come on to another video at some point. And my next videos are probably going to be bike related, I feel I may have done handhelds to death already, and I'm only 8 minutes into this video. But you can use them as a controller for the GameCubes, which is quite nice. It's a little bit different. A couple of games here that I would recommend for the Game Boy SP. As I said, it's a good unit. Gadget Racers. This I think is about £10. It's one of the more expensive Game Boy Advance games. Gadget Racers is a bit like slot racing, 2-piece slot machines. So you start off with a little car. It's a little bit like Mario Kart, but also you get to kind of customize your little vehicle. To be fair, at the start you pick what vehicle you want. You can have like a little tank or a bus or a sports car, whatever, doesn't really matter. And then over time you gradually get upgrades. You start with a Class C 2-cylinder and then go all the way up to like Class A V12s and stuff. It's a really good little racing game. I like simulator car racing games. It's not really like that, but it's a little bit more in-depth. It's certainly the best racing game I've found for a handheld, just because it's so playable. It's really easy to get into. it's challenging enough to make it worth progressing. And that's why I actually bought it, because I like it so much. I want to get it for the GameCube, but I think it's the GameCube. They do it for one of the bigger consoles, either the GameCube or the PlayStation, but it is quite rare and quite difficult to get hold of. And then the other game, which I really, really recommend you play, it's probably, all things being considered, the best game that I've played on the Game Boy SP, on the Game Boy Advanced rather, is Mario vs. Donkey Kong. It's got great sound, it's got great gameplay, great graphics, and very playable. Bit of a puzzle game, you've got to find keys, etc. Not overly difficult, but the best games aren't until you get to a certain point. But yeah, those are the two. I don't want this to become a sort of, oh, this game's great, this game's not great, not really what I'm into, but they are two games that I would recommend for a bit of playability. What else we got here? So, 2DS, well, probably my newest console I've got. I actually bought it because I managed to get one of these for my son, dirt cheap, which I then fixed. And I wanted to get one that we could play together. And I've just realised the AC adapter is a little bit broken, shows how often I use it. These are pretty cheap. They're actually relatively resistant because they don't bend, which is why they're made like they're made. It's quite clever because Nintendo have finally realised the weak point on all these things is the hinge. You know, again, there's a whole load of games you can get R4 cards for them, so you can basically spend not a lot of money and download. And I've just realised it's just powered up. Look at that. Nice screen, touch screen, doohickey stuff. It all works. Job is a good one, and it's so infrequent I use it. Oh, I've switched it off. Ha! Look at me. How amazing. Something everyone will recognise. On my shelf, my original Game Boy. In mirror writing. How rare is that? It's in mirror. As I say, later videos, I'll sort it out. Right now, can't be asked. Yeah, fully working. Actually, my friend Catherine gave me this. Thank you, Catherine. It was one of the bizarre, it's probably like the most well-known handheld ever, and it was one of the later things I got. They're great, you know. Probably if you're into going, ooh, look, I've got a Game Boy. Great to have. You know, it does look pretty cool, original Game Boy. You can get kits for these to backlight them and all that stuff, and not difficult to do. The screens go on them. I'm lucky enough this one is pretty much spot on, which is great. If you're into the playing, I wouldn't use one of these. I'd use a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Pocket, as I said the other day. If you got space and you go on a holiday, take this bad boy, the DS XL. This one cost me nothing because I bought a shitload of them, fixed them up, sold them. It's got some damage. Well, guess what? It's my favourite colour, so I just kept it. It works. I couldn't be bothered to sell it. It's a really nice bit of kit. Exactly the same as the DS Lite, just bigger, and it doesn't have a Game Boy Advance slot. Which, you know, they are big screens. The screens aren't really any better. They're just bigger. It's quite nice. You know, good bit of kit. Oh, look, I found one of these. This is actually up for sale if anyone's interested, once I've got the controller. Obviously, if you're coming to this video in 2074, it's probably been sold. But yeah, it's just a pink Game Boy Micro. It's a bit battered, actually. I thought this didn't work, but having tested it, yeah, it does. So I've got a pink one. I did have a really nice pristine one of these, which I sold last year because I was kind of like, yeah, I don't need to. What else we got here? This is just that stuff that I found on my shelf. Super Mario Land 2 and Super Mario Land 1. Good games for the Game Boy. You know, I'm shit at games. I love games, shit at playing them. Interesting piece of shit here. Barcode Battler. Again, doesn't help it's in mirror because it actually says, what does it say? Relatsaba Erdukobaraba. So, obviously a rare edition. These came out in the 90s. I remember wanting one of these, and I think one of my brothers got one. The idea, it was quite clever. I actually got this fully boxed last year before. It's fully boxed. In fact, other than the fact it vaguely smells of piss, and I'm not entirely sure why, because I certainly haven't tested on it. I think it's just new and never really been used. It's in certainly pristine condition. The idea of it was that you had a whole load of these cards and it read the barcodes, and then it came up with attributes, like a Dungeons and Dragons type thing, I think. Anyway, I always wanted one of these. It came up fully boxed, not a huge amount of money. I bought it. It looks pretty new. It's been opened. It's got all the documentation. It's slightly random. It's a little bit on the edge of what I kind of collect, but hey ho, it's interesting. And as I say, not often you get stuff that smells of piss straight out of the box. And coming to an end now, you'd be pleased to know. Leave that. These were on my shelf. Forgot I bought these. These are, they're actually Canadian, I believe, 2-box Game Boy SPs. For some reason, they look, I've opened them up, I'm not going to open them up now, you know what Game Boy SPs look like. They're pristine, they look brand new. In fact, they've even got the covers on the screens. The only thing they haven't got is they haven't got batteries, and they're missing the screw. I don't know whether that's in the box. Again, typical me, I'm not even bloody looked. I do know I paid 30 quid for the pair, albeit this one is in a silver box and it's a black unit. This is a red one. Me being me, I just went, 30 quid, bargain, I'll have them. And they are a bargain. So I'm going to stick them up there because I can then look at them and go, ooh, look what I've got. My lovely cousin Nick reminded me the other day that he has an Atari Lynx. And I remembered that the first time I played an Atari Lynx was his one. Now, this is the Mark II. Now, we were talking the other day about size of handheld consoles. Game Boy Micro, Atari Lynx. You just can't understand how freaking huge that is. Now, this is the version 2. The version 1, which I did have one, but it was faulty, as most of these are, is even bloody bigger. It's about out here. It's about that long. Now, this was it the first? I think this was the first colour handheld. I think this came out before the Game Gear. Now, the Game Gear is a way better piece of kit. I do like the fact that the games kind of come on this kind of like almost credit card style thing. So the only game I've got is Chips Challenge, which probably came with it. I don't think I've got anything else. I do have an official Atari Lynx bag for it. This works. No batteries in it at the minute, so I can't demonstrate it. But it's got a couple of lines on the screen, which is not uncommon for consoles. Game Gears, I could do a whole 4-hour rant about Game Gears, about how brilliant they are and how shit they are all at the same time. I have got Game Gears. I love Game Gears. They are a really weird piece of kit in the sense that often people think they're portable Master Systems and they're not. And that was all to do with, I think Master Systems were 256 colour palette. Mega Drives were, what were Mega Drives? 4096. Anyway, Game Gears kind of fitted in between, so you could. It wasn't powerful enough to run Mega Drive games, but you couldn't just. They wouldn't. The games that came with them weren't Master System games. They were kind of slightly in between, which puts them in a slightly. It's like a Master System and a half, which makes it quite difficult to emulate. In general, you wouldn't bother. You just go straight to the Mega Drive version. I have got some Game Gears. The difficulty with Game Gears these days is a lot of the capacitors have gone. It's really cheap to fix them. It's just also very time consuming to fix them. I've done a couple for people. I did one for myself. They're really fiddly. There's about 16 to 20. I think there's 2 different versions of the console. One's 16, one's 20 capacitors you've got to change. They're pretty fiddly. I've done it and I did a bit of a ham-fisted job of it, but I did get them working. Now, the console is lovely. I mean, when they brought it out, it was the first console I ever got was the Game Gear. The graphics are really good. It was like, oh my god, this is such a step forward from the Atari Lynx, from obviously the black and white Game Boy, and they were fantastic. They haven't stood the test of time. I want to say mechanically, but sort of electronically, they kind of die more than any of the other kit. As I say, cheap to fix, just really time consuming. The last thing I've got, which actually wasn't on my shelf, is this, which is actually This is the Cigar Nomad, which came out, was actually the replacement for the Game Gear. Now, unlike the Game Gear, which I think is a really nice ergonomic piece of kit, it feels nice, it looks nice, it's nice, well designed. This looks like beta A of this is what we'll bring out next. It's basically a box with a Mega Drive thing in it. Now this, I was saying the other day about the game that I saw for $180 in the shop in New York. This was the only thing I found in the shop which was, I thought, a good buy, and it was about $200, which is what, I think it was about 160, 170 pounds at the time, which is a good price. Now the thing it didn't have, and I've just broken my little doohickey, was the battery module that goes on the back. Now I was really hoping to use this on the flight back, but I couldn't. But what I did do was build this. So just velcroed on so it doesn't damage the unit at all. It's a battery pack, which is lithium ion battery pack, which I've velcroed on. As I said, the velcro will come off dead easy, but it's strong. It's chargeable via USB. You plug a battery in there, and you've got a fully working Cigar Nomad, which is basically a portable Mega Drive. Great, the battery life is pretty good. I've actually got 2 different types of battery for it. But it is a really nice piece of kit from a collection point of view, but not great from how it looks. I think that's it. I think that's it for today. So I'm hoping I've covered everything. If you found it interesting, great. If you want to put a comment down there, or wherever it's going to be, I don't know, then feel free. If you didn't enjoy it, that's absolutely fine. I apologise. Don't watch any more. My next ones, as I say, are probably going to be motorbike related, which is kind of what I'm mostly into at the minute. I kind of felt I wanted to do this just to finish off the handhelds. You know, if I get another batch, if I find something interesting, go, ooh, I didn't know I had that, I might put something else up. But thank you for watching. I keep promising the videos will get better, and they will. They will. Might take a while, but they will. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.